What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Silvia. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're enjoying this series, please hit like and share with someone you think can relate. And if this is your first time listening to one of my stories, make sure you go back and check out the ones I've posted in the past. Most of my stories are of my first generation Mexican American upbringing, time with my abuelos, personal experiences, and so much more. Enough of the chit chat. Let's get to the story. My high school years sucked. They're like a big blur. Why? Because after my middle school graduation, we moved to what seemed like a whole new world. Remember my story time, Cowtown? You might want to go back and listen to it to get a better understanding where I'm coming from. If it wasn't for my friend Margarita and Delilah, I would have never survived. Shout out to Margarita, who I still keep in contact with and likes to eat all my food. Okay, not all of it. I can send her a text at 10:45 p.m. and she will be peeping through my sliding glass door at 11 p.m. Creepy! Just kidding. I actually really love that. The highlight of those 4 years was graduation. Jumping on a bus, heading straight to grad night at Disneyland, knowing I never had to go back again. I didn't even know what I was gonna do with myself. I wasn't that high school kid anymore, and I was going to thrive. But the harsh reality of life came one day when my mom was cutting her friend's bee hair, who later became my boss. My mom had turned her washroom into a small little beauty salon, and everyone would come to get their hair done. B must have seen me walk by scratching my curly-haired head with no plan in life, because the next thing I knew, my mom was driving me to Cal State San Bernardino to apply for college. Mind you, I had been driving since I was 16, but that day she drove me. She must have been thinking, va porque va? B was an admissions counselor and had told my mom to bring me by. I had never formally made plans to attend college. I knew it was an option, and my dad had always talked about it, but we never did anything to work towards it. My counselor never mentioned anything about applying to college, deadlines, or SATs. Hashtag first-gen problems. I remember my mom dropping me off at the admissions office. She said, "Corre y pregunta por B. Diles quién eres." I was still very confused at what was happening. I was super shy and not social at all. I still kind of am, believe it or not. This was like asking me to bungee jump without a rope. I could never say no to my mom out of respect, so there I went with sweaty hands and lost for words. I went up to the front desk. "May I speak to B?" I was told to have a seat, and I patiently waited for her to come out. She looked really happy to see me, but I was just scared and nervous. Then it all came at me at once. "Do you have a transcript?" What's that? "How about your SAT scores?" SAT what? "Were you in extracurricular activities?" I was barely allowed to be in choir and during school hours. Hashtag strict parents. "Do you have your parents' tax information?" Aw, heck no. I can't ask my dad for that. It's like asking him if I could pull his teeth without anesthesia. "How are you going to pay for school?" I wanted to run out. Of course, I didn't give her those answers, but that's what I was thinking. She probably saw the blood rushing to my face and my eyes beginning to twitch. She made me a list of things to bring on my next visit. And then she said, "Would you like a job?" Without thinking twice, I said, yes? Still with hesitation in my voice. She said that after I turned everything in, I could start my new job as an admissions assistant. Say what? I had no idea what I would be doing, but if I was going to make money and be at the university, sign me up. Take that, Little Caesar's Pizza, for not hiring me that summer. I had a few weeks to make all of this happen. I felt the pressure, but without hesitation, I went to work at it. Filling out applications, getting letters of recommendations, transcripts, things I had never even thought about, and all by myself. Party people! Before I knew it, I was a college student who worked on campus assisting the admissions counselors. An office job. Shortly after I saw another opportunity for higher pay at the university, I applied and took it. Because of my parents' income, I had to pay for my own schooling, no financial aid, so I needed to make more money. I was now working for outreach services and I loved it. I got to go to high schools to talk about college life and recruiting, gave campus tours on a little cart, and I felt like the coolest college kid on campus. I was majoring in accounting just to please my dad, but the day I took my first accounting class, I patiently waited for it to be over and then marched straight to the admissions office and told B to change my major to anything other than accounting. She must have seen something in me that I hadn't, and she wrote communications as my major, mass media to be exact. The thought of talking in front of people made me want to throw up, so I don't know how it all added up. Anyway, she told me I could change it later if I needed to, so I left it as communications. How bad could that be? Anything but numbers, a foreign language to me. For some reason, I didn't blossom until I was married. So my entire college career, I looked like a kid and I still lived at home. So I pretty much had to do what my parents said. That's just how it is in Mexican homes. One of the things I was suckered to do was to be in quinceañeras when I was 19. I was so embarrassed, que vergüenza. I couldn't say no to my dad at that time, and it was for two of his friends. Y no quería quedar mal, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, his friends wanted me to be in their daughter's quinceañeras. In one of them, I didn't know anyone. And the dress? What year were we in? The other quinceañera? I knew pretty much everyone. But good grief, I was in college hanging out with high schoolers? Trágame tierra. Aside from that, I loved my college years. Probably some of the best years of my life as a young person. I was pretty popular, unlike my high school experience. Now, middle school, that's a whole other situation, and I'll leave that for another time. I started the first Spanish radio station on campus, and my DJ name was, okay guys, let me preface this by saying during this time I was a hardcore activist involved in mecha, indigenous clubs, and pretty much any underrepresented group on campus. So naturally, my DJ name was, ready for this? DJrasa. Welcome to the DJrasa show. Anyway, I talked to all the major Spanish record labels and they started sending me free music, more than I knew what to do with. I loved my show. I played whatever I wanted. DJrasa was for la raza. You heard everything from Tigres del Norte to Banda Machos, Santana, and whatever my heart was feeling that day. I was in Mecha, Chicano Coalition, and other clubs and activities that I can't even remember at this point. I even was going to join a Chicano co-ed fraternity. But after going to some of the club meetings, you know what I'm saying, I decided that it might not be for me. I later regretted it, but left it at that. Oh yeah, I was even in a dance club. Who would have known, right? I was learning folklorico and zoot dancing. I loved to dress up like a zoot-zooter. It was so much fun. I took many photography classes, radio classes, and media classes. Aside from being a DJ on campus, I was also a newscaster for our campus cable news. I was thriving. I even got the guts to run for Señorita Cinco de Mayo. I knew I wasn't gonna win, nor did I even own a formal dress, but what the heck? What did I have to lose? My boss let me borrow one of her daughter's dresses, and there I was competing with all these beautiful, amazing Latinas. I didn't win, but now I can brag that I was in some beauty pageant. Ooh. Yo, DJ, throw on some suspenseful music. It was June, finals week. Psychology 101 class. I was answering the last question on my final, waiting for the moment to walk out of that class a free woman. All I could think about was that the next day I was headed to Michoacan for 3 months by myself. I inhaled and exhaled, turned in my final, and walked out. I was living the dream now. I could feel the freedom. I felt the sun hit my face as I floated through the campus like I was being carried by angels with my own soundtrack like out of a movie. Then it all came to a screeching halt when I hear Hey, friend! I turned around and it was some annoying guy from my psych class who asked too many questions that made the class longer than it should have been. He quickly caught up to me and we started walking together. We didn't even know each other's name. He asked what I was doing this summer. I told him I was headed to Mexico. He gave me his phone number and said to call him if I wanted to hang out. I said goodbye, and as soon as he was out of sight, I threw the paper to the ground. I littered that day. I lived my best life in Mexico for 3 months without ever even thinking of that moment again. That summer, I spent amazing quality time with my family in Mexico. Spent long hours with my abuela's sister, watching novelas till I fell asleep, waiting for my cousins to get home from work so we could hang out in la plaza or los bailes, and we traveled to nearby towns to sightsee on the weekends. I will never forget that time, or my second family, who welcomed me with open arms into their home. Dum dum dum. It's the first day of school. After being gone for 3 months. Back to reality, dragging myself to class. I couldn't adjust to living the California life again. I missed the freedom and the peace I had experienced in Michoacan, reminiscing of my times in Mexico. As I walked to my class, again, my movie came to a halt when I heard, Friend! My one eyebrow went up. Could it be? Nah. I turned around as he catches up to me. The Psych 101 guy. Where are you going? Class? Me too. As we ended up in the same doorway. No! We were in the same class. Not another semester of annoying questions. I won't make this part extra long, but couldn't avoid him in class, although I really tried. I would purposely put my friend between us all the time so I wouldn't have to sit next to him. It didn't work. He grew on me like a wart, and we became good friends. He was still annoying, but in a funny way, and I became his guidance counselor. And soon later, he would visit me at family gatherings. He decided to join the Air Force, and we made a pact to only continue a relationship if he ended up stationed close by. If not, pues se acabó. We kept in touch by mail during his boot camp. I still have all the letters, #corazoncitos. The day came when he would receive his orders. He ended up at Edwards Air Force Base, 1 hour from me. He was active duty and still attended school. I hardly saw him, but we were good as long as we were close by. A couple of years later, I was about to graduate from college and had no idea what I was going to do. He told me to apply at our local radio station as an intern. I got an interview, walked into that meeting with my favorite Fuji CD and the coolest outfit I could put together, and I was hired on the spot. A couple of months later, I would graduate from college, was working a dream job, and was headed to get married to my college sweetheart a few months later. These were my fondest memories that didn't come without heartache and pain. But here I am. As you see the best moments of my life, they still don't come without heartache and pain as I continue to live this life. The lesson is, life will never be perfect, but you can live perfect moments and cherish them in your memories as long as you want. I hope you enjoyed Story Time with Silvia, that's me, the college years. What has been one of your best moments? Share them below. I would love to get to know you better, amiga. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you, you'll hear me in the next one. Peace.
No te fallaré, contigo yo quiero